What's mission prep? Tell me what that's all about.
Hey, everybody. We are sitting down today with Austin Jardine. And he's actually sitting here while I'm doing an intro, which is always awkward for me.
I can look longingly into your eyes while you do it.
We can make it weird.
I'll make it uncomfortable. I'm really good at that.
I'm down with making shit weird. So I guess I'm going to take a page out of your book, how you do it on your podcast.
Let's hear it.
Give everybody a little introduction of who you are.
Oh, man. Okay, so my name is Austin Jardine. I am born and bred in kind of the Treasure Valley of Idaho. So that's like the Nampa, Boise area. And I run a podcast called the Vanguard Project. I actually had these guys on a couple, actually it was like a month ago. And it was really fun getting a chat. But, you know, I've grown up not really in the outdoor industry at all. I didn't really grow up shooting or hunting or camping. I mean, occasionally going out to my grandparents' property up in, McCall or Cascade. And a couple years ago, got really big into the shooting industry. Got super excited about USPSA. So my parents took us out to a pistol course, and I almost didn't go. Like, I was working at Best Buy. I was in the Geek Squad fixing computers and shit. And one of my coworkers was like, dude, you got to do it. Like, free shooting, there's no reason not to. So I was like, fine. So I went and I shot, and I fell in love with it. And I have like a super addictive personality where like I find something and I'm like, dude, I gotta learn how to do whatever. And so like I obsessed over pistols. Like I just fell in love with like calibers and different cartridges and, different actions and how to get into it and whatever, right? Like kind of just full on nerding out before I even like went and fucking shot after that. It's so funny. And so my dad ended up letting me borrow some of his pistols, and I was starting to do the USPSA stuff, which is like the practical shooting. And, I turned 21 because I was like a freshman in college. So I turned 21, bought my first pistol. And it was so funny because I was living at my parents' house like my sophomore year of college. And I was like doing all my dry fire drills. Like I would do a homework problem, and then I would go over and I'd like snap up against the wall and like dry fire, practice my reloads. And then I'd go back and then I'd do it again. And I'd do another math problem. And then I'd move on. And then when I transferred to Boise State, because I was going to school for computer science, graphic design, wanting to be a youth pastor, like super random stuff. I moved to Boise State and started studying economics and Chinese. And I found out that there was a shooting team at Boise State. And I was like, well, like, let's see if I can't figure out, like, how to get connected with these guys. So I messaged them. And I'm like, hey, I'm super interested. And the guys were like, cool, we're all graduating. Fucking, it's yours. Do whatever you want. And I was like, I don't even know how to do any of these things, And so it was all trap shooting for the most part. Like, I didn't know this, but there is big money in trap shooting. Like, when you go compete in a trap event, like, you can walk away with a huge purse. And so it was really neat because the team, before I'd shown up, had won a grant through Friends of the NRA, and they got like $10,000 just for trap shooting that they bought like flats on flats on flats of shotgun shells for. Wow. And so I inherited, whatever they had left. And it was really in a hard time because during that time there was a lot of like school shootings going on, and it was very like heated. So when it came to guns in schools, it was very difficult to navigate. So I got pretty good at kind of being political on that aspect as far as like managing kind of expectations. And like at one point I was like friends with the ATF guy because we had kids from, California traveling into Idaho that wanted to compete and shoot. It's like, hey, well, how do we transfer firearms? How do we store them? How do we purchase ammunition on, the funds that we got from competing, but the school technically owns. So it was like super weird. That was super difficult. And I was super polished, and we ended up bringing on a coach who is now like my best friend, but I fucking hated him when he first came on. Like, he was fresh out of the Marine Corps. So like I was super polished and he was super rough, and we never saw eye to eye. It was the funniest thing because he had shot for like Team USA, just an awesome guy, really good coach, made you stop thinking to pull the trigger, right? Because shotgun shooting's all reactionary. Mm-hmm. And so he kind of helped rough me down a little bit, and I polished him up over time so that we ended up becoming really good friends. And when I graduated, he was the one who was like, dude, go get a bolt gun. You got to shoot like scoped rifle, long range stuff. And I was like, fuck that. Like, why do I want to do that? And everything kind of matched up. And I was like, well, you know what? Fine. I'll go buy whatever. I didn't know anything about rifles and long range shooting. And then I got naturally re-obsessed with long guns. And so I started studying scope theory, ballistics. I was definitely like, I know you do your astrophysics stuff, so you could probably relate. But like, I would sit down on a Sunday morning and I would like math out what the ballistics would be for a given caliber, so that when I went out to the range, it was like I had mathed everything out, so I knew how to hold. Like, air quotes, knew, because I didn't fucking know anything.
Right. Yeah.
And then ended up learning that they've got ballistic calculators and stuff, and actually can slowly start to hit stuff. But really, that was kind of like what triggered a lot of what happened next, as far as getting involved with like more companies in the outdoor industries. Like, I started working with Eberly Stock. They reached out to me because I was taking pictures. I didn't really have any expectation. Taking pictures and tagging them on Instagram, like, yeah, I'm out at the range, got my cool little bag that I spent, a lot of money on, and my rifle, and yeah, I think I'm cool. And so they reached out and they're like, hey, you're in the valley, you're taking pictures, we don't really have anybody in the long range community. Why don't you come out, like the competition side? Why don't you come out and we'll get you set up as an ambassador? And I was like, cool, like, I need expectations. I don't know what that means. And so that was really the start of the relationship with them. And over time, they've kind of helped build me up in a couple different ways, as far as taking pictures and getting connected and understanding how to like build a brand, more or less. Because like the podcast was really for me the catalyst, because like I'd met a lot of people through them, really, that I just didn't know how to relate to. Like, I didn't know how to talk to anybody. It was like, I'm literally some kid from Idaho that like shoots guns and is barely good at it,
Right.
And so they're like, hey, why don't you, they brought me up to their out there event, and I met a lot of people, really big time like hunters and stuff. And I just didn't like, I was like, this is really cool. Like, I could teach you how to shoot a gun, maybe. And like, I can show you how to run a bolt fast and give you like some pretty decent fundamentals. But during the COVID year, I started doing like the archery, and I went hunting for my first time last year. Like, my uncle took me when I was like 10, but I was like that sniveling little 10-year-old that didn't even want to be there.
Right.
And so then started doing more photography stuff. And that's when I was like, okay, like I want to start actually like having meaningful relationships, because that's where I feel like I'm missing out. Is I've met people, but I'm not fucking doing anything with it. Like, this is literally the biggest missed opportunity. And so that's where the podcast started. Is I just wanted to talk to people. I wanted to get their stories, and like, I love understanding the struggles people go through to figure out, like, if somebody wants to do what that person is doing, how they can relate and move forward. So that's really what the podcast is. It's like a super long-winded answer to your question, but
Yeah.
there's a lot. I seriously, everything just kind of snowballs.
Well, like like you said, the like meaningful relationships thing, and we're finding that too with this, because I think I've said this. I don't know if I said this on your podcast we were on, but I've always had a lot of acquaintances, not a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And there was, back when I was younger, I had too many friends, and they were the wrong ones. And then as I got a little older and learned some lessons the hard way, usually it was like, okay, I don't need that many friends.
Yeah.
That's just more baggage, and it's going to slow me down. So I have a pretty tight circle of like close friends, like Kevin. It's Kevin, my brother-in-law, and then my family. Like, that's pretty much it. But through doing our podcast, we've met some people that it's like, okay, maybe I do need more friends, just the right friends.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these guys who we're talking to, and you're talking to, we've had a lot of the same guests on. Mm-hmm. They're successful, good people, just like genuinely good people. And it's like, okay, maybe I do want to hang out with those guys more. Maybe I will bring them in. And there's been a couple people I've gotten closer than I've gotten to with people in a long time.
Sure.
And Kevin's very similar. Like, Kevin, I wouldn't say he's not social, because he always says he's not social, but once he gets talking to somebody, he's usually really good with them. But
Right.
Liquor him up.
You've become more open to people since we've done this podcast as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Just practice. Everything's practice. Just like teaching CrossFit to a class of people. You have too much of a military mindset going into it, and I had to transition to being someone who is very well-rounded and had a different perspective. So everything you do is just about practice. You can't say you're one thing unless you're practicing it. You know what I mean? Everything's practice. It's
well, and like we were talking before we started recording about like some of the people we're meeting.
Yeah.
And you guys listening, Austin here has, if you haven't checked out his podcast, check it out. He's had some of the same guests we've had, and then some guys we've never talked to. Yeah. But we've had some similar people on, and we were talking about this before, how it's weird because like if you're like me, it's like, man, this guy's so much better than I am, and they've accomplished so much more.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was really nervous in the beginning, like especially like when we had Evan Hafer on, I was really nervous because I followed that company forever.
Yeah.
And then he turned out to be a normal, really nice, personable guy, and everybody else we've had on has been the same way. We were talking about John Moss from Mountain Primal.
Yeah.
Same way. Really cool dude. Sits down, bullshits with you. We text each other, and it's like, he's just a dude.
Yeah.
Success. There's a reason those guys are successful, is because they're not assholes.
No, they're just dudes, but they do what they say, right? Like they fucking put their heads down, they make it happen,
sure.
which is super cool. Because like when I was talking to John, you know, I was listening to him. I'm like I have so much I could learn from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like seriously, if I didn't have like, you know, something going on for the rest of the year, like I'd be flying over there, and you know, because it's like you could learn hard work and values and identifying who yourself and really getting down to the nitty gritty of like what makes you tick.
Yeah.
And it's super cool because everybody that I've talked to, like I haven't run across somebody where I'm like, I don't ever want to talk to them again.
Yeah.
Like all of them, you're like, there's not enough time in life to spend with some of these people.
We've had guys on too that I thought were going to be almost like too polarizing, if that's the right way to put it. Like I was thinking, this guy might, because of the industry they're in or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we had one guy on, he's in the gun industry hardcore, and he's pretty political when it comes to guns, but that's because that's his living. And somebody from the outside looking in would be like, oh, this guy's like a radical right wing. Not at all. Really cool guy. I still talk to him. His name is Mike from Sons of Liberty Gunworks. Cool fucking dude. And I was expecting something different, and that was just like me judging before it happened.
One of my favorite things was when I read his little rant on the weapon they use for the Tomorrow War. Oh god!
Have you seen that?
Yes, yeah. Watch the movie. I had to watch the movie after he made that post. I was like, this is hilarious. Like,
Was that the one where he was breaking down all
the
the
gun.
wrong shit about
like,
the gun?
oh, you want to use a longer barrel for my higher muzzle velocity because of their thick skin.
Yeah.
No,
No.
let's go for the 7-inch barrel.
But we need to be able to see really far away, so we're going to put a 24 power scope on it. You're like, what the fuck? Why would you do that?
Well, and that's another thing too. Like when it comes to like the gun industry and shit, I am not well versed in any of that. I grew up around guns, but it was like hunting rifles and shit like that. And we've had guys on. Kevin's a little more versed in guns than I am, a lot more versed in it. But that's the other thing is like going into these podcasts with some people, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to know what to talk about with it. But then it doesn't go that way.
No.
And most of these guys, I want to learn something, and they want to teach you. They want to tell you how to do things and how things really work.
And and anything you want to be well versed in, that comes back down to what I said earlier. It's about what are you practicing?
Yeah.
And are you a student? It's the same thing. It's two different perspectives, but you know, are you a student or are you practicing something?
Yeah.
Just like, you know, when I graduate, am I going to remember how to do computational physics at a fucking high level? No, but I took it. Like I don't remember shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's called school, it's called education, but it's really not because you're not practicing, right? You're doing it for a little bit, stopping, moving on to something else, then you're going to like rocket equations, whatever. You're not practicing. You're not a real student, you know? So anything you want to be proficient at, just be a student in it to the point where when you do learn something on book, you're applying it immediately. That's why I got so good at teaching in the CrossFit industry is like anything I was applying from like, you know, textbooks, I'd go practice at someone the next day, you know, like, or flying at like, what was it for like the specific rounds were different, right? If I think it's for 300 Win Mag, you're ideally going to have like a 4 mil hole at 610 meters. Go apply that. How does that apply to me? Well, like for me, it's just slightly less, right? So you have to go. You can't just say like, "Oh, I know this, I know that, I know the ballistics." It's like, well, do we get out and do we shoot? Do we practice that and see how it works and take notes, right?
Well, it's funny you say that because like I haven't shot long range in a while, right? Like I think because for a little while I got out of it because I ended up being more content focused. So I got really good at taking pictures, and which then deteriorated in skill for shooting, right? And it's funny because it's like, okay, to your point, if I'm not out there practicing it, like it goes away, and everything that I did doesn't necessarily not matter, but it becomes so much less immediately usable, right?
Yeah.
So
I'd say it's when you take dips off of training like that, it's okay because you're taking 2 steps forward, maybe 1 step back, but you'll never digress beyond to where you were at like a base level.
yeah,
you know,
you'll always
obviously.
have something to draw on.
It's
For
like
sure.
a muscle memory type thing.
Yeah.
thinking about like what you're talking about, like not necessarily knowing a lot about the gun industry, right? I think that's what's so fun about talking to the people that we've been able to engage with, is that going in with kind of that air of ignorance, right? Being like, and admitting it, right? And being like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I've gone in, like I've talked to like Jana Waller, right? So she is just a phenomenal human being, big time hunter. And she'll just go off about some of the hunts that she's done, right? And we didn't go down like tactics and stuff like that, but it's like, that's something that I want to learn. I'm super ignorant to right now.
Yeah.
You know, like last year was the first time I'd really relatively sort of maybe kind of attempted to go hunting. And you know, it's one of those things, it's like, it's really fun because those types of people, when you sit down, you're like, hey dude, teach me about it. Like I don't really know, could you spend an hour with me and just walk me through it? And they'll be like, oh my god, grab a notebook, hit record.
Well, because most times those people, if they enjoy it that much, they want other people to enjoy it too, so they're going to show them how. And I'm the same, because like I grew up hunting and then I haven't hunted, and it's been 8-9 years, and with a successful hunt, it's been more than that, right?
Yeah.
And after talking to some of the people we've had on and stuff, it's like, man, I want to get back into that. I miss it. And Kevin actually has never hunted, and he is as good as he is with guns and shit. He's never hunted, so he did hunter's ed, all that. We're ready to go, and then someone reached out and offered us a place to go, private property.
Nice.
It's like, fuck yeah! Except, I think it was our last episode. I talked about that we were going to go do that hunt. Tags sold out before we got them. God damn it! It was a limited amount. It was a cow elk hunt.
Sure.
And I was like, for a first hunt, because it feels like I'm a brand new hunter again, anyways. And it is his first. I'm like, that's going to be awesome. It's not going to be easy by any means, but it will be a little more accessible because it's a limited number of tags, private property, all this stuff, and then the tags fucking sold out. I guess there's a second chance drawing next month. We're going to try.
Yep.
And if not, we're still going to deer hunt over in that area.
Yeah, I did. I drew one tag. So I put in for 2 tags this year. I put in one for, I think I did cow elk and then either sex deer. And I drew the either sex deer tag, which I think is early October.
Yeah, I think that would be.
Yeah. So I'm super excited because my buddy, who was the one who was like, hey, here's the 2 tags you need to go put in for. He's like, there's such a good chance that you'll be able to get a doe.
Well,
so at least
when you're new, that matters a lot.
Yeah.
Like, because there is a lot to hunting when it comes to tactics and stuff like that.
Dude, yeah.
It's for a guy who hasn't really done it, it's nice to go with somebody who knows what they're doing.
So I went out last weekend. So my buddy, one of my other buddies that he drew 2 tags, and he drew, you know, a deer and an elk tag. And so we were out scouting for him last weekend. And we were up sitting on this ridge, and I talked about it a little bit in my Madman episode on Friday, but he was like, okay, he's a big archery hunter, right? And like I've gotten into archery, kind of more of the target shooting stuff and 3D range. And he was like, okay, pretend there's a buck sitting like midline over on that hill. How are you going to stock up on it? And I was like, I'll just fucking walk around, sneak up behind it, no big deal. And he was like, so close, but totally wrong. And he like described to me like this crazy like 2-mile long path that he would take that would like follow veg lines and, you know, sneaking up behind it depending on the direction it's feeding. And I was like, I never would have thought about that. You know, like with my rifle, like I would have just set up a bipod, laid down, and it's only like 180 yards. Like, don't even fucking think, just shoot, you know?
Different with a bow.
Dude, so different. And I was like, I never would have thought about this thing. Like, I'm curious to see how it's actually practiced, because I've watched YouTube videos of like the Hushin guys or whatever, and they put on like 4-hour stocks. Like, I'm like, I can't focus for that long. Like,
I've never bow hunted either, and I've shot a bow a couple times, and
it's a hoot, dude.
Oh, dude, I want to get. It's expensive to get into, but we're going to the TAC event, and I'm just interested to go watch these people who some of the best in the world go to these things and watch them do their thing. Maybe learn a thing or two just by talking to them.
Yeah, I mean, if I had $1,200, I'd like to just go get a bow, just something basic, and fucking walk in there. And
well, $1,200 isn't basic for a bow. $1,200 is basic for a rifle. But like my bow, the one that I'm taking this weekend, I think. Without any upgrades or anything, because I put on a few extra things, you could go down to Cabela's and get one for $350.
Really?
It's tuned, draw weights, everything ready to go. They'll get you set up at 15 yards, and then you can go out like there's the range out at the military reserve, and then there's one up above Lucky Peak. You could go get it sighted in out to 60, and then for those TAC events, you know, they've got like beginner plus, intermediate, all the way up to like your fucking crazy distance shoots.
That might be a goal we set for like next year. Is
I could
trying
do it
to
by then,
do
dude.
a TAC event.
Yeah, I get good at shit fast.
I would like.
I know that's how
I got 2 weeks.
I would like to. And I think after we go to TAC and we see these guys with their nice bows and they know what they're doing, and we talk to some of these guys, that's gonna, because I'm the type, like, I get motivated by other people.
Yeah.
And some people think that's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why don't you just get motivated yourself and do it? Well, because I don't fucking operate that way.
Yeah.
Once I see somebody else doing it and I'm like, that looks like fun, I'm in. I want to do it.
I like, if I see somebody that does it, and I'm like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, next thing you know, it's like, I've spent more money than I should have doing something retarded. And you're like, well, there goes my gas money for a month.
Yeah. Well, but no, dude, like you're saying, I really like the idea of, I mean, so I did used to have a bow, and I shot like on post in Alaska when I was still in the Army, but it wasn't a whole lot, right? But I did some. I still like the idea of it because I'm not spending $1 around that I'm, expending really quickly, and especially in this economy.
It's probably cheaper in the long run of things.
Fuck
yeah.
No, yeah,
100%.
And you can just go out in your backyard and just do what you need to
Sling
do.
arrows.
Dude, I do it in my front yard. It's so funny. I'll stand out in the middle of my cul-de-sac and I'll shoot into the garage because that's where I've got my target. My neighbors come out and they'll like BS with me. Like my neighbor's niece came over. She was like, or her niece and like sister-in-law came over, and we're just hanging out while I was shooting into the garage. It's so funny because like people just think it's cool. A lot of people have seen archers and they don't really they've never gotten close to compound bows. You're just like, here you go.
Yeah.
Just don't. I mean, you can't pull it back because it's 70 pounds.
Yeah.
So, just don't drop it.
Yeah, I think after we go to TAC and you're going to the TAC event next weekend, like being around, you're participating in it. Yeah,
I am.
Yeah. See, we're gonna go watch, just hang out with the guys. I think we're recording at least 1 or 2 podcasts while we're there.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like I've never been. It's at Snowbird. I don't even know what it looks like other than what I've seen online.
Yeah.
So it's like going into the unknown, which
100%
makes me uncomfortable, but also makes me excited.
Yeah. But it'll be so nice because you'll at least have a couple people to go reach out to and be like, hey, I need 5 minutes. Tell me where I should go. Yeah. Whatever. And then I'm willing to bet that people like that be like, oh, we're going to lunch. Come hang out.
Yeah. Well, and now, because when I had talked on the phone, I was talking to Tier about it. I told him, we're just going to stay for the day and we're leaving that night. Then yesterday we decided we're going to stay the night.
Yeah.
We're just going to get a hotel in Salt Lake because it's close.
Yeah. Or sleep in the tent on my truck.
Yeah, he has this.
I was going to take my redneck Ritz, but then I was like, hey, because I'm going to Park City. And, with some of these resort places, I'm like, I don't know if I could just find a place to pull
That's
over.
exactly, we were talking about the same
I was
thing.
like, I don't want to get somebody to get call the cops on me and get all, pissed off.
Right.
And
I'm just going to have my maps pulled up, have a map pulled up. Because if
go
you
to public land somewhere.
Right. I mean, you can literally, there's lots of places like that. Like if you see a campground, like somewhere around Donnelly or something, right, by Tamarack, you can find shit that's just off of those campgrounds, like a few hundred meters away.
Yeah.
And park your ass there, or go up to the mountain a little bit and park up there.
Yeah, I was looking because I was gonna do the same thing, right? Because I've got everything. I would have been fine, right? It's like camping; it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I tried to find campgrounds around there, but next weekend in Park City, they've got the TAC event. They had I even emailed some RV place to see if I can park there, and oh, we've got a couple other ball tournaments going on, so we're packed. And I'm and then I looked at all the campgrounds and everything was packed. Yeah. So I'm literally I got the last hostel room possible, and I'm
and is that close to Park City?
Yeah, it's I think it's 15 minutes from.
How far is Park City from Salt Lake?
It was I think 25 minutes. Was it 30 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been to Park City.
Less than an hour. Less than an hour.
Because I know Snowbird. I knew Snowbird's a ski resort, and for some reason I'm thinking that's really far. It's a 15-minute drive to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
From Snowbird.
Well, it's funny you say that because I don't know Utah geography at all.
Yeah.
And so last night I was talking to one of the other guys that's going to be down there, and we're going to link up. And he was like, hey, are you going to the Fieldcraft event? And I was like, not to my knowledge, I don't know what you're talking about. He sent me a link and he's like, oh, it's in Heber City. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, hey, well, that day is the same day that I'm shooting, right? And my knock time's at noon. This event's at 6. And I'm thinking Heber City's on the way back home, right? And so I was like, hey, I don't know if I should commit to this yet. So I pull it up on the map. No, it's 15 minutes down the road. I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. That's the same. I don't know the geography there either. And seeing that Salt Lake City is literally 15-minute drive from Snowbird, we're just going to get a hotel.
Heber City, same thing.
Heber City's close. Hopefully we're going there soon. I want to talk to Mike Glover. That's
Yeah.
dude. I
I want to
want.
go shoot with him.
I just
Like
want.
what is the field cross survival?
Well, I told Kevin, I'm like, I don't even care if it's on the podcast. I just want to sit down and talk to the guy
Yeah.
because I fucking love that dude.
Well, they're teaching. So the lecture that I'm going to is like a Western big game hunt like master class. I think is what it was called. Like
Oh,
I didn't
master
really,
class, okay.
I didn't really know. I don't even know what that is. Like literally, this happened last night, and I was like, hey, well, there's $100 credit card charge. I'll deal with it later. But it's like him. A couple of the Eastman's Hunting Journal guys that are talking about like tactics and what happens when shit goes wrong and how to like kind of prepare for big game hunts. And I'm like, it's all stuff I'm interested in, stuff that I don't know anything about. Let's, I'm going to go be a noob. It's going to be great.
That's fun sometimes. But no, he's a dude I want to talk to, and I have one connection who's going to try and connect me with him. I'm like, I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you've reached out to a lot of people online. Usually they'll hit you back, but sometimes they don't even see it.
Nope.
And he's one of those guys who I don't think probably ever even sees it.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, you almost have to know somebody to get in with some of these people. And
Or just like, who are these crackers trying to fucking
well, and just the cool thing about us meeting the people we're meeting is they connect you to more people, as you've probably experienced, and it's just a cool experience. And then watching you, because when did you start your podcast?
1st of May.
Yeah. So what? So we started September. I mean, and you're rolling smoke now. Like I'm watching you. You're growing a little bit and
I'm
stuff like
trying,
that.
yeah.
And we're on. It's almost like both of our podcasts are on the same path. Like we do have similar guests. We have similar styles.
Yeah, it's super
But-
cool because like I don't necessarily feel like we compete. Per
No,
se,
not at all.
Because the things that we talk about, like listening to your guys, it's like your conversation with Bert last week. It was last week, right? Or 2 weeks
week
ago.
before, 2
yeah, I
weeks.
listened to it, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, they're talking just about like just chill conversations, right? Whereas like I almost feel like I'm kind of grilling somebody.
Yeah.
Not like in a bad way, but like, hey, like get me into your head. Like I want to know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Why you struggled with whatever.
Yours is a little more interview style.
Yeah.
And ours is more casual conversation, depending on the guest. There has been a couple where it's like, okay, we need to like ask this person questions,
Yep.
but I don't think it's competition either. I think we talked about that when Roger was on. I would think I brought you up. I'm like, it's not competition. We're both Idaho guys who have similar podcasts. Why not fucking help each other?
Yeah.
And we can connect each other with people, and it's the whole competition thing is stupid.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, might as well. Like, why fuck around when you just have an orgy? You know,
what Kevin said.
isn't that the same thing?
Yeah. But no, like even like on Instagram, like I'll share something of your podcast.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
You'll share something of someone else's and it's like, why not fucking help people? Because I think the more you help people, the more successful you're going to be
Yeah.
anyways.
Well, like so what's today? Sunday.
Yeah.
So on Friday night, I sat down with Bobby from the Mountainside podcast.
Okay, yeah.
And he was asking me some questions about like conservation, and I was like, dude, I'm so new to the hunting world that like I don't really have a formulated opinion around like the wolf population. He was asking me specifically about wolf population, how I feel about culling wolves and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, I know at least one or two other people that are super familiar. Let me reach out to them because like not only will they have a significant like following, but they are so much more well versed. Like you can ask me these questions and I'll be straight up, be like, I don't fucking know right now. Give me a month. Like I'll go learn as much as I can. But I mean, give me a couple days, because it's like it's a non-competition thing, right? Like,
No.
I'll help you out, and just by the fact of like being on your guys' podcast, I'm sure helps me, helps you,
Helps
because it gives
everybody.
you get content.
Yeah. helps everybody involved. And that's the thing. Like because there is some other podcasts that are similar to our two podcasts out there, and it's almost like I can see they're looking at shit like a competition.
Yeah.
Because there was a bunch of them that fired up right around the time we all fired it up. And I think it's because of COVID, and it's all the same reasons people started shit this last year. But I've watched a couple of these, and it's like they're not going to share shit from anybody else.
Yeah.
But then I watch them, and they're not as successful as either of our podcasts. But we share stuff from other people. Why not? Why not fucking raise everybody up? And that's the same thing some of these guys we've had on have done for us and for you.
Yeah.
They help raise you up, and they're probably not getting much out of it. But
yeah. Well, our dynamic is kind of good in the fact that we just have, like you said, we just have conversations with people, and we just get philosophical about it. Like we get super philosophical, and then they also think it's a deep conversation. But really, what you're finding out is who the person really is, and then it's beneficial because then that's like, wow, if you own a business, maybe I want to buy something from you,
Right?
Because I see you're a good fucking guy. I'm not some number. You're a good person, and so I think it's good for everybody just to have those simple conversations too. And then try to have some bullet points of like, okay, we really want to talk about how you started this or that,
Well, in turn, like people that have these businesses. Then there's people that listen to our podcast or his podcast or whoever's, and these people come on, and like you said, they hear about him, like, oh, I want to support this bit. And we've had people that listen to our podcast that go support these people we talk to. They buy shit from them, or they just give them a follow or whatever. And I that's something I do on Instagram is like after we have somebody on, I'll go look at their followers to see if we have some similar people that went over from ours to them, and it always happens.
That's cool.
Sometimes more than not, but always we have people that follow us that didn't follow them that move over. I think actually on your pod, I've seen some of our followers have gone to follow your podcast.
Yeah, I've had a few. What was it? The lady that does the artwork stuff?
Yeah, she did that one right there.
Yeah, I was actually looking at that.
Jess. She's fucking. You should get her on your podcast.
Yeah, I went into her website and I looked and like I loved her Halo, the Master Chief. I was like,
she actually
cool.
just did a post about that painting today, where she's gonna because she gives away a lot of art because it's really not about money for her. And with that one, she's going to sell it, but donate some proceeds to some veteran organizations and stuff. And
I love that. That's so cool.
She's asking like people like what organizations, and so I reached out to her and told her a couple that I think that would be good. But no, she's awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of those people we've met through the podcast who's become a friend.
Yeah,
her and my wife hit it off. Like they're good friends.
Actually, that's what Erica and Nicole are starting to do. Like I think Nicole followed my wife because my wife's not like a big Instagram social media person. Like I'm definitely the high maintenance one of the two of us.
The same.
And they started chit chatting a little bit last week, so I think that's pretty cool. And we're gonna talk to there's this like all ladies like clothing like tactical clothing company, because like dudes, we can go find tactical clothing like fucking anywhere, and we don't really care how it fits, but women are more particular, right? Because their shape is a lot different. And there's this one company that is specifically all women's, and so I'm gonna have Erica hop on and interview that lady with me too. And it's just kind of funny, like how it all like your wife gets involved in it too.
Oh, dude, my wife, she's involved in this behind the scenes. Like she runs our website and stuff like that. And it's so much fucking help, man. Yeah. Having someone that helps support.
I had Erica record a Mountain Primal
I heard that. I actually heard that. At
the
end
she was like, I want to shove a meat stick down his throat.
Yeah. Oh, shit. But yeah, so we've had similar people, and our podcasts are kind of similar, but we have one of the same sponsors. But
Mountain
Primal. Use our code, not Austin's. No.
Use theirs. I'll get you later.
No, but like, there's no competition there. Like, and after talking to you in person a couple times, and then just back and forth through text or online, like I can hang out with this dude. Like, and there's no competition there. Why not fucking help each other?
Go pick up a bow. We'll go lose all the arrows together, man.
Dude,
honestly, if you want, we can go out Tuesday night. You could try if you want.
Aren't they pretty specific though in like size and shit? Like
but it doesn't mean you can't shoot it. I mean, so like it is. It's very like user specific, right? You get brace height, which is more or less specific. I don't really know why, honestly. But then you've got your draw length, which is based off of like your actual upper body physique, and then the draw weight are going to be kind of the more specific things. So then the draw length is going to be, when you get it all the way extended out to where your anchor point is kind of up on your cheek. And so like mine's, like I've got monkey arms, right? So mine's like 29.5 inches. And then when I first started shooting, my bow, the draw weight was like 50 pounds because I didn't like there's back muscles that like I didn't even know I had, So you build those up and then you get it pulled up to like I think it's like just under 70 right now, and then that's specific. But then really kind of where it gets a little crazy is obviously the type of bow that you get. Like you can get your high end bows, which will be maybe a little bit faster, a lot quieter, more consistent. Maybe of more high quality materials. Then arrows get super expensive. Like you can easily go spend $90 for a half a dozen, which is just nuts. Like I'm not anywhere near that yet. My arrows are $45, just cheap from Cabela's that I'm not afraid to go lose. So yeah, you can get some crazy. You can get into it like really crazy. Like same thing with cars. Same thing with rifles. Like I mean, you could easily go buy a Remington $700 or $700 for $500, and you could go buy, and it'll shoot and it'll work great, and you can beat the living fuck out of it. Same thing with a bow. Yeah. So
we might take you up on that one of these days because I'd like to go shoot. That'd be fun.
I'll go. I don't know. Maybe let's go get a credit card. And I was walking to the bills like, you know what? I need a fucking bow. Like I've never had a credit card.
The best you got.
Though I do regret now not buying, and I'm being totally honest, I regret not buying a better bow from the beginning, because you spend $300 or $400 or like $400 to get it all set up, and it's like, hey, like I bought mine because I didn't know if I was gonna love it, and now it's like, well, I'm fucking addicted. And if I want another bow, I got to go sell my left nut because they're fucking that expensive. Yeah. So it's like sometimes it's kind of worth jumping into it right out of the gate. So
yeah,
kind of depends on whether or not you feel like it's something you're going to do for a while.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to get. And like I said, after we go to TAC and see all these people shooting bows, I'm gonna.
I just want to sit there with a bow though.
Oh, man, I know, but
you borrow mine. I'm not going to use it that next weekend.
Kevin just shows up. I'm here to shoot. Actually,
no, because literally, like I can't be a pedestrian. I have to. If I go to something, I'm like, I could be better than that motherfucker. Like every time, because I'm playing like metal bands and stuff. Every time I go watch a show, I'm like, dude, we're better than these guys. Like we should just get the fuck up there right now and go play.
Yeah, so, I'll get back on Sunday or late Saturday if you want. You're welcome to come over and dork around with it. See if you.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And how many days are you going for up
there? So I'm just shooting one day on Thursday, but I'm driving up Wednesday around like 1, and then I'll come back. My plan is to come back Sunday afternoon.
So you spent the whole weekend out there. Yeah, when we go to Snowbird, it was going to be just one day, but that's a 5-hour drive.
Dude, not
one
worth
way.
it. Yeah.
And we did that when we went to Salt Lake. We left here at 5 a.m, drove to Salt Lake.
And that's a horrible drive.
Oh, dude. And we went past Salt Lake. We went to Ready Gunner, which was in Orem.
Yep.
We did that. We came back to Salt Lake to Black Rifle, and then interviewed with Lucas, and then it's like, oh, dude, we got another 5-hour drive all the way back home. We got home at 11 that night.
Yeah,
we were good. We were pretty efficient though.
We did.
Like, okay, we're gonna like 1 o'clock. We're gonna fucking eat a snack at the gas station. Oh, we're gonna get the farts. It sucks.
We had a plan, and we followed it, and it went well. But with this, we were gonna do the same thing. But then, like I was saying, we got to talking last, and then actually we're gonna have a new sponsor who's a local company here.
Yeah,
and which I had been talking with him, and I'm like, we do have a lot of people that live here that listen, but we have people all over the world that listen, and mostly all over this country, and they can't use his service because they don't live here, because it's not an online business. But we do have people live here, and I'm sure people will go to his business. So we've been talking back and forth, and then I worked out kind of a deal with him for sponsorship. I'm like, we're going to Salt Lake for a TAC event. Like, you want to help us with that trip? And he's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm like, fuck yes. And then we started talking about, let's stay the night. Let's get a hotel. Because I'm sure you're in the same boat with your podcast. It's hard to just spend your money on this thing when you're not bringing much in with it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to validate that to yourself and to your family and everything else. So sponsorships help a ton.
Yeah. Where's been the most random place? Because like I know that the podcasting services will tell you where you're getting listens from. Where's like the most random place you guys?
It was a Navy boat, right?
I think it was off the coast of Africa. And
okay, that's weird.
We have people listening, which I haven't seen in a while. But there was
because they're underwater,
maybe. But there was a stretch there where that would pop up, and it's not a country, not anything. It might be aliens, maybe.
It's like pinging across like the Atlantic.
It's like these guys are weirdly interesting. Let's study them.
Yeah.
But that
is this what the human race is? Fuck.
Yeah. We're fucking leaving. No, but that was a weird one because there was no land mass. It was in the ocean.
That's kind of cool.
So I'm guessing it was a ship because we do have like a lot of military and veterans that listen. But then like other than that, anywhere that's not in the U.S. is crazy to me. Like Australia, all over Europe, Germany, all over there, and then a lot in Canada, which surprises me.
That's kind of cool. I've had a couple downloads in Canada. I have a friend in Australia. So shout out to Kieran because that guy listens to like all of them, and I need to get him on because Australians are hilarious.
Yeah, they are.
That's Canadians. Fucking whatever. Mate, and mint. That's what he says all the time. Yeah. And I had one I think it was in like Bosnia.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I don't know.
Isn't that surreal? To think like there's people out there you don't know listening, and we've talked about this a lot. How, because I'm a big podcast listener, and these podcasts I listen to, I feel like I know these people. So now there's people out there that listen to ours. They feel like they know us, and we don't know them. Yeah. Kind of weird. And that's not why we got into this, because it's like, I don't want to be a celebrity, but I want to talk to cool fucking people. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, all over the world, it's cool, but it's also kind of weird.
Super weird, because there's been stuff that like I talked about, like, you know, so like we were talking to Greg, right, from Eberly Stock, and we talked about therapy a lot, right, and like mental health.
I was actually going to bring that up with you, by the way.
It's super weird because like that's not something that like I've historically talked about. Like, you know, like my wife and I've worked through a lot of shit because like I've I've got OCD, right? So like I have like hard time with some stuff. And so it's been really interesting, like opening up to people about it. Cause like, I'll talk to maybe like my immediate friends a little bit about it. But then as I start to talk to some of these people and like have those real conversations, it's like, fuck, it's super weird. Like putting that out there, like being like real in this kind of sense that like I'm usually really good at like kind of protecting, So it's been kind of fun opening up and talking about stuff like that. Cause it's like, if somebody does see you, like I know that we talked about it, a couple months ago where you're like, I had somebody stop me. It's like, man, it's going to be weird if somebody ever does stop me. Cause it's like, they know more about me than like I was ready to share, or whatever.
Yeah. It's surreal. And what you were just talking about, cause I actually wanted to bring up the mental health thing with you. Cause I know you've mentioned a couple times, like you're an advocate for mental health and therapy and stuff. And that's something on our podcast we've talked about a lot of times because Kevin has more issues than me. I have issues. I think everybody has mental health issues, whether they admit it or not. And I think guys being open, not just guys, gals, everybody being open about it is the biggest help for anybody. Yeah. Because then there's guys out there who think, oh, I'm a badass. I don't need any fucking help. No, that's not true. That makes you fucking weak, I think. Yeah. Like if you have mental shit, and it doesn't have to be a therapist. Talk to your friend. Yeah. Talk to your family. And Kevin's gotten really good about talking about it with me and on the podcast.
Well, yeah, because everyone that says they don't need help, that was me for a long time. I would say 90% of people that say they don't need help are alcoholics. So they're using something to put a Band-Aid on it. Yep. And I was the person because of my anxiety, like, well, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to take this, I'm not going to do anything, but I'm also not going to talk to anybody about it. So I just stuffed everything down with no coping devices. Yep. Like I was even off nicotine at that time. Then I got back on it again, and then now it's like now, okay, we do everything in moderation. Like I have a glass of wine 2 or 3 times a week, at night or whatever. But that is probably the worst thing to do because I had to it all came out at once uncontrollably, Yeah. So yeah, and that's why you can't and that's because you meet a lot of guys who are other vets who seem well put together, and then they comment and say, "Man, you seem well put together considering what you went through." Like yeah, but then you all don't admit to each other that's
They're
only
fucked up inside somewhere.
That's 60% of the time what you see. Yeah. The other time, that's like the day they couldn't make it to hang out. It's because he was crippled and just fucking sitting in his house all day and couldn't leave. Right. Yep.
Well, like I said, I think everybody, I don't care who you are, has something going on in their head that they could use help with or talk to people about. Because like myself, we've talked about this on here before. I didn't ever really think I had anything going on. Mm-hmm. I have pretty fucking bad anxiety I was never aware of until I got around other people who battled with anxiety stuff. And like Kevin is one, and he explained to me. He's like, dude, that's what's happening. You're having anxiety right now. And I've become more aware of it, which I don't know, it might be a good or bad thing because now I'm more aware of it. So when I get like a little anxiety attack, I'm like, oh shit, I was like, wow, that was weird. Yeah. Oh, now it's like I know what's happening and I don't fucking like what's happening. Yeah. I mean, before we fired this podcast up, Kevin had an anxiety attack today. And here he is. He's sitting here still doing it.
Yeah. I didn't know if I was going to make it to the house, dude. I was like, oh, fuck.
He went I've totally been there.
He went to drop off his son before, and I came over here to start setting up. And he calls me. And then I missed it because I always have my phone on silent. My wife gives me shit for that all the time. I always have it on vibrate just because I don't want other people to be bothered by my ringtone. There's my own fucked up shit in my head. But anyways, so he calls me. I miss it. I call him back, and he answers, and he's like, hey, man. And he sounds like
you can tell.
Something's I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I just need to talk for a second. And I'm like, what's going on, dude? I'm like, how far are you? Because where he dropped his kid off isn't very far from here. And he's like, this is, and it took him a second. He sounded confused. And I'm like, but within like a minute of us just talking, he started to come back around. Yeah. And I stayed on the phone with him till he got here. Yeah. And then he got here. He comes in. When he first walked in, his pupils were dilated. And I was like, yep. And then within a few minutes of us just talking, pupils went back to normal. Yeah. I think he might have made his coffee a little strong this morning.
Dude, but I've 100% been there. So the guy that I was telling you about that was my coach that like I hated at first, he has been basically, he's you for me, right? Mm-hmm. Because there was a period in my life, right, when, Eric and I had first started kind of dating and going through a lot of stuff. Like I had historically like never been a good relationship person, mm-hmm. right? Like I just, my anxieties, there were so many of them. It was one of those things that was much easier to kind of run away from and maybe not deal with if I didn't have to. And Erica was like the first, like really was like the person that was like, fucking, I'm with you. Let's figure it out. Everything is good, you know? And so we went through just a lot of shit, right? And like I could talk about all of like the things that I've learned, but one of them was being able to sit down and be like, have somebody like you where it was like, dude, I need to talk. Like I need to yell at somebody that isn't her, right? And you know, because like in our relationship, very few things were ever like wrong. It just was like my anxieties didn't know how to handle it. Like I couldn't look at it objectively. And one of the things that like I've learned over the years, and I've talked to a couple people about, is like being able to sit with it, like recognize the fact that it's like, you know, you said, hey, I don't know, like I feel this anxiety, but like weird, whatever, right? Well, that's cool because that's a tool that you have that you can sit with it for a second and then recognize it and be like, oh, I'm moving on. I didn't have something like that where I could like sit at it and look at it objectively. Like to me, I had to fight it. I had this big black monster in my head that was like I was constantly fighting. But now when I have those little anxiety attacks, it's like you sit at it and you're like, huh, well, that's interesting. Let me explore like why I'm feeling this way. This makes me feel a little uncomfortable. Fuck this. Okay, I feel better now, you know? Or like my wife, I'll text her, and it hasn't in a while, but like I'd be at work and I'd be sitting there at my desk and I'd like freeze up. Like I'd have a moment where it was like, I can't think. Like this is the only thing I can focus on, and like I'm shaking. Like I literally cannot do anything but this thing. And I'll just text her and be like, hey, nobody did anything. Nothing's wrong. Right. But like, this is like, you know how people say like, hello, darkness, my old friend, or whatever. It's exactly that, where you're like, oh, it's back again. Send her a text. Hey, love you. This is what's going on. Everything's fine, but I'm feeling like a piece of shit right now. And then it goes away. It's the weirdest thing.
It's the just being open about it, I think.
Super weird.
Because I've had the same shit, because it'll pop up and either I'll talk with Kevin or I'll talk with my wife, and my wife has her own anxiety stuff, and she's very well versed in it too. And she's helped me out a lot too. And I think just being able to talk and don't be a fucking tough guy. Like that's not going to help anybody, especially you.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like I feel like in the outdoor industry, it's very easy to be a tough guy and kind of fend it off. And like I've gone through either counseling or therapy for 15 years, I think now, something like that. And up until the past 3 years, I think is really when it started to take a different change, because you have to, if you're going to stop being a tough guy, right, and kind of recognize, hey, I need some help. I want to be a little bit more free. Because a lot of the stuff, like I've described it once as being captive to the way you think, because when you get caught up in anxieties and stuff, you feel very siloed in and you can't quite get out of a specific train of thought. And, you know, it took a while to find the right type of person to help you break out of that, right? So the guy that I have seen consistently for a while now, you know, he gave me actionable things, right? Where it was like, hey, okay, we're going to talk about this thing today. You know, here's what I would like you to go think about. So the next time this feeling pops up, don't react right away, right? Think about it in this type of way, have this type of conversation, and then come back tomorrow and let me know. And, you know, it took a lot of time to get that right, because, you know, I've seen a couple different people throughout, and it's like, I never got what I needed to progress. And so it takes a while to get it right, and it's never fun. Like when I talked to Greg, he was like, dude, I fucking hated it. You know, it's like, it's never fun to sit down and talk about why you think you're broken, or why you're having a hard time, or why you feel the way that you do, because it never makes sense out of the gate. And so it was super interesting to start putting together tools, because over time, I started to figure out like, okay, here are my triggers, right? Not to sound like a snowflake, but like with my anxieties, there are things that like I know and my wife know that will cause me to kind of lock up, that if we can either approach it proactively or have more intelligent conversations after the fact, then it's never an issue, right? But it took years of like, I mean, like I've got like 6 notebooks full probably of just like brain dumping things of time of just like, this is why I'm mad today. Here's the sketch of shit that I've got, you know, and it's super weird how people's minds work. And it's very relieving to make it through all of that, because even though now like, yeah, sure, I'm a sensitive human being, but it's like, well, I feel stronger and a little bit more capable to go approach people and things, because I've gone through the stupid shit that I have, you know.
Well, and it helps to see other so-called tough guys and badass guys who openly admit they have the same fucking problems, and it makes you feel like, okay, I'm not that fucked up. Because like somebody who sees, say, Kevin just from the outside, he's in good physical shape, he's got tattoos, he's like this cool looking dude.
And a beard.
I'm told him to grow it back out because he's been told a few times that he should be Matt Best's stunt double, and we're about to go hang out with a bunch of those guys. No, but like somebody sees him or anybody, a lot of these guys we've talked to on our podcasts, they look like they have it all together. Everybody has fucking issues, and those guys who are these tough guys fucking admit it. And then, I mean, even myself, I'm like a big, strong guy. I'll admit, like, I've got fucking some problems sometimes.
Yeah.
And
yeah, the idea of masculinity is so flawed because of, at a very young age, you know, you can teach a small kid how to speak 3 different languages, and it works pretty well, and with little effort. That's what you got to put effort into it, just like anything. So those same kids are watching movies of guys who are just like fucking Arnold and fucking Die Hard and shit, you know. And then now their reality is based on their reality and their perception of masculinity is based on that. And it's very false. It's not real.
Yeah.
You know, so now when they become grown men, they have this hard duality in their brain of what to do and how to be, right? How am I supposed to be? I don't understand. I thought this was one way. I thought I was supposed to be shut off. But when I'm shut off, people don't want to be around me. I can't keep a girlfriend. What the fuck? My life sucks. It's because the idea of masculinity that you were taught at a young age is incorrect. It's fucking everything around your life up, you know? And women do it too, but not for different reasons, you know? So it's, how do we connect back with the nature of things, right? The natural order of emotions. And honestly, it's by getting away from all that shit. It's getting away from like just movies. We all do it, but we got to get away from all that and just, or at least be able to, if we can't get away from the movies, then we have to get around parents who are emotionally intelligent enough to know how to act around the kids to show them, you know what I mean? Like it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel for somebody. It's okay to
be vulnerable.
It's okay to be vulnerable enough to, if someone slips in the mall or something and falls over, it's okay to be vulnerable enough to just walk over there and help them. It's not awkward.
Yeah.
People feel so awkward by helping somebody in public for some reason. You know, like the day I had to fucking do chest compressions on this dude downtown. He got fucking one punch, almost homicided. And then everyone just like froze or just kept on eating because they know how to act.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do, you know. And then one lady came, helped her. 2 ladies were together, and one of them was about to like start pumping his legs, and the other just blew him out of his back of his head. He's like, put his legs back down, like he's bleeding out of his head and shit. Yeah. And he wasn't fucking breathing, dude. He was dunzo. And then I think and then another girl there was just like, I can't believe how many people just don't react or respond or didn't help. It's like, well, they don't know what to do. Like I've seen this shit, you know. Like I get it. And so I know how to. I actually the first thing I do. The first thing I was supposed to do is pick up my phone and call 911. That was the second thing I did. Yeah. Because I called 911, looked at my time, so I had my timer right there, right. The first thing I did was like reach for the guy who punched him and like almost try to make it about me. Like, hey, fuck you, dude. You're a piece of shit. And then he just like ran off or like walked off.
And you're like, this isn't the problem.
Like, what am I doing? That lasted for like 5 seconds.
And then you helped.
Yeah. But I think that was just for my training. It wasn't really maybe about myself. I think it was because you're trained to eliminate the threat first. Yep. Eliminate the threat, then first aid. Yep. I don't know if he's still going to pursue this guy. And to me, my senses are weird. I'm probably triggered a little bit, right? So immediately I'm like, okay, eliminate the threat first. Maybe try to assault this guy, you know. But then you realize, but it was really cool how fast I kind of pulled that together. I was like, hey, fuck that.
Well, then you're gonna have 2 guys that need medical attention,
right? Yeah,
and you don't want that.
But that's the thing is like, I feel like people could talk all the day they want, but if I was like right now, I was gonna go get in a fight and I one punch KO'd somebody, I'm gonna be like, God, fuck, dude, I didn't want to fight you, but you did this. I'm gonna walk over there and help the motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm always be like, oh, fuck that guy, and then walk off. You're not tough. Guess what? You're going to prison, motherfucker.
Right. Like, and that's we've talked about endlessly on here. The like definition of masculinity, and it's like, yes, there is parts of it that are masculinity is being big, strong, tough.
Macho.
Yes, but vulnerability to me, that's masculine. That's masculine as fuck. And being able to like openly talk.
Well, it's because that shit's hard.
Oh,
right.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Hard.
Like
yeah.
getting jacked and stuff is hard. Don't get me wrong, right? Like that's a lot of discipline, right?
I don't think anything's as hard as what's up here. What's in your
but
head.
like to be like introspective about like why you are the way you are, why you think the way that you do, right? Like to me that takes more than just discipline, right? That takes like courage. That takes like humility.
Yep.
And that takes like being scared. Because like going to the gym, you'll be scared for a while, right? So you get in your routine, you start to feel comfortable, right? And then you kind of figure out how things go, right? Like we've all been that guy going to the gym for the first time, right? But when you start to explore your mind, you're doing that fucking consistently for a long time. And it never makes sense. Well, that's not true. It doesn't make sense for a long period of time until you get to a point where like, you can communicate it. And then like, I feel like it's important to have a partner that you can communicate to and they can communicate back to you.
Even if that's just a friend.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah. And the best way to communicate, again, I'm going to fucking keep on ringing this bell on this podcast today, is the practice of the student level.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
so many people that are like great at jiu-jitsu or archers or long range guys are like, man, you just got to go out there and be humble. It's humbling. No, it's not, because you're already fucking good. Like you can always get better.
Yeah.
But I want to hear someone talk to me who's going through it.
Yep.
Like, hey, I'm 3 months in. I am I'm a humble student right now, because that's the person you listen to, because they're learning it. They can teach you better, right? The guy who's a master has his own little quirks that only work for him because he's figured himself out.
Yep.
Yeah.
He can't really teach you how to learn in the process. The person who's just slightly ahead of you can. And
Because they're still going through it.
that's why the military does that. The E5 has the 4 dudes under him because he's still learning how to be a leader, right? And so he can apply that to his dudes, right? And so, yeah, that's... Whoa, I just like chopped all my words up.
Kevin just had a small stroke.
That just, like,
said,
did, like,
he's
my
like,
eyes,
I
like-
believe this. God.
So
yeah, like,
unfortunately, we
have a
have
drink.
to end this because I have to get to the hills. we might need to do a part 2.
Okay.
We'll have you come back because we were just starting to heat up, and like I said, I got to drive up north.
I'm a chatterbox.
Dude, so am I. And Kevin can be at times,
We're getting there.
yeah.
but yeah, we'll
We'll bring you your box of wine.
Yeah, dude, thanks. I like to fit vines, all that sugar.
Well, no, for real. Let's do a part 2 of this.
Yeah.
We'll schedule it now. When we get done, we'll figure something out because we need to have you back on and finish this conversation, I think. Yeah, and I'm strapped for time. God damn it. So
dang.
tell everybody now, I guess, where they can find everything you are doing.
Everything that I'm doing. So I'm a website and an Instagram guy. So a website, I just bought it. I'm super excited. It's vanguardstories.com. And there you can find the blog, which I started working on recently, hoping to get some people added onto that to add some fun stories. Merch will be there too. And then on Instagram, it's the Vanguard Project. And then it's the Vanguard Project. And it's kind of lame because that one was already taken. So, but yeah, the Vanguard Project and vanguardstories.com. And I do my best to keep up on all messages as much as I can.
Yeah, so go check out Austin's podcast. We were guests at one point. That's pretty much the same thing on his podcast, but whatever. When we were
Different topic, though.
Yeah, for sure. But he's had some really cool guests, so go check out his podcast. Go check out his Instagram, his website, which I did check out your website. Looks good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I heard you say you started it up, and it does look really good.
I spent way more time on that than I should have.
Dude,
Figuring it
sometimes
out.
you got to spend time on shit.
I know.
you
Well, I was like, it's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that could be a good quality and a bad quality, but being perfectionist a little bit, I'm
man.
that way with a lot of things too. But yeah, and then we share a sponsor in Mountain Primal, so go tell them we both sent you.
Yeah. Go harass Roger and Darren
Roger
and
and all them, tell them that Austin, Jake, and Kevin.
get some steaks and their fuel steaks. Those things
Dude,
are
the fuel steaks
best
are the
thing.
best.
Oh my god, dude! I actually had chorizo for their chorizo for the first time. Fucking perfect.
Dude, we just
Really?
Oh my god.
we just got some ground bison from them.
Yeah.
I haven't had it yet, but I'm super excited for it because I like bison.
Yeah.
I've never had bison.
It's-
I've actually never had elk either. Now that I think, I don't
Oh,
think I've ever had elk.
They're just super lean, but it's good. I've had bison and elk; they're both really good. But yeah, so go to Mountain Primal's Instagram and tell them that you heard us talk, all 3 of us talk about them. That'll help us all out, I think.
It would.
And I don't know, Roger's probably listening to this. I think he listens. So what's up, Roger?
I love Roger.
Me too. Still waiting for him to send us our stickers. Roger,
Stickers? You're getting stickers?
I told him I wanted stickers.
I gotta put them on my bed rack.
I
dude.
ordered a hat because this hat, like, I go through hat like freaking dirty socks. So
Yeah, I'm the same. It was actually, I want a hat, but they have a hat with that logo Kevin's wearing.
yeah.
It's not on their website.
Oh really?
Yeah. God damn
It's
it.
out there in the
I got
That's
the
one I
white
want.
trucker hat.
That's
that'll
the
get
one
you.
I was going to order.
Yeah, but that thing's gonna get disgusting fast.
Yeah, my hats. I wear hat literally 99% of the time.
I know.
So
Like as soon as I leave the office, it's like,
I burn through them. But yeah. So yeah, go check out Mountain Primal. That's both of our sponsors. Everly Stock is one of Austin's sponsors.
yeah,
Tell them Austin sent you.
they're in the valley.
They
Go
are.
pick up some. Hunting season's like right here, dude.
Hey,
It
if
starts
you-
in like 2 months.
Yeah, I know.
And
I would totally buy a pack if I could afford that, or packs as much as a vehicle. So
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, it's so funny. They put
And-
like 1,000 pounds on it or something.
yeah,
And our new sponsor I mentioned earlier, we'll start talking about next month, but the one that's helping us do our trip.
cool.
So, all right, well, thanks for coming on, and we will do a part 2.
Party on. Thanks, guys.
All right, well, thank you. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.